Hello, kindergarten, and today is November 4th, 2020. We have another Wednesday computer class. And the last couple of classes we've done, we've seen different websites, we've seen different ways that on a computer we can be creative. Sometimes that's with music, sometimes that's with art, with colors, with pictures. And today we're going to do one last website or app on a website that you can use to be creative on a computer at home that anybody from little kids all the way up to big kids and anybody in between can do. Now, what we're going to use is on the website ABCya, and it's an ABCya painting app. You can get to it from a couple different ways. If mom or dad have the document open that I have for today, you could click on the link in that document and get to the ABCya Paint website. You could also, from our school's homepage, use that site that I've shown before. That's a little bit down on the left called Weymouth Porta Portal. Click on it, then click ABCya, and we'll get to that paint site in a second. Or if you wanted to try typing it in, you could just do a Google search and go to the website abcya.com, and get there. Now, once you're here, you want to be able to use the search box right here and type in the word paint. That's unless you clicked on the link right from my document that took you directly to it. But the first one that will come up is ABCya Paint, and I'm going to give it a click. And then it gives a little description of that app and tells us a little about it. It has an icon right here, so I'm going to give it one more click. And now we're actually in that app. And we're going to see a couple cool things that we can do, some ideas for things that we can make, and one bonus feature that we'll check out. Now, once it loads, we have to click this play button. It has some audio that you can hear, but I'm going to turn that down on my computer. And now ABCya Paint is ready, right? And right now, it just looks like a big blank space. So, if anybody's helping and checking out what we're doing today, you may see that it does fit some screens a little awkwardly, where you could either see the canvas or you could see the tools in some of the canvas, but it's cut off. One thing that you may want to do is try zooming out on your browser just a little bit. I'm going to just press Control and then do the minus sign, and now this is able to fit in my browser window a little bit better. And in this ABCya Paint, we have a couple really cool tools down at the bottom. The first four are going to be different ways for you to draw, color, paint anything that you would like onto this canvas or this white background. So first I'll start to the left with my paintbrush. I give it a click. And do you see these different size circles? That is how skinny or how fat my paintbrush is going to draw. So let's do an example where I click the smallest one and I'm going to draw a line. Now I'm going to go to about the middle and click on a medium one, draw another line, and look at the difference. See how it got wider or fatter? And then finally, if I click on that biggest circle and draw a line, you can see that that is the biggest size. And then there were a couple of them in between. So that can make a big difference if you're trying to fill up a big amount of space, right, on your canvas. And in that background, you might want to use a bigger tool, or if you're just trying to draw tiny little details, you might want to use the smallest setting. All right, and that is what your paintbrush does. Now, on any of these tools, and I'm going to go back to see another one with my back arrow, maybe on this one now, the watercolor brush. On any of these tools, you can also, aside from changing the size, you can change the color. And do you see this? It looks like an artist's paint palette, something that a painter would hold in their hand with different colors of paint on it. If I click here, it shows me all these different colors that I could use, and I can change them anytime I want and click on whichever color I want to use, which is also shown that it's selected with this little circle or this little dot here. So I'm going to change to a greenish color. Now, I used my back arrow and I clicked the watercolor brush. And what we see with these first tools is that each one is going to react a little bit differently. Here with my watercolor brush, it is a little more transparent. And what that means is that I can see through it. If I paint in different colors with my watercolor brush, I can see through to some of the things that are in the background. Whereas if I had used my regular paintbrush and I had done the same thing, I wouldn't be able to see through it at all because it's completely opaque, which means it's not transparent. You can't see through it at all. All right, so that's a little difference with the watercolor brush. There's this paint roller tool that's really interesting because it gives us a pattern where it looks kind of speckled, or like it's not just a smooth, clear line. And sometimes that could be really cool for painting a background of something, painting grass or ground, or something where you might want that look. Now, so far, all I've done is scribbles. And I want to make sure that I know about my undo button for anything like these scribbles or other things. Because this undo button, which we talk about a whole lot in computer class, that can take away anything that I did that's a mistake. So if I don't like the very last thing I did, or a couple of things back, I can click it a few times to go back to where I liked it, right? Or back and take away a few of those steps. Now, there's also a spray can tool, and we'll just look at that one very quickly. It's really cool because it does patterns. And I'll click on the heart and then click on pink. And I can see that when I do my spray can now, it'll spray either just one if I click one time, or keep spraying and get darker and darker and darker if I hold down my button. Or if I hold down my button and move, it'll spray that pattern anywhere that my mouse moves. Here's some stars that I'm going to do in yellow. And I'll put a few stars around. Here's the difference between one click or a click and hold down the button, right? And we can see that it makes it much darker. And if I drag it around or move around and click, we can see that I can add in any of those patterns over and over again in any color I want with the spray can tool. All right, so we're going to check out this paint bucket tool now. Now, to do this paint bucket tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a couple different circles to show you how it works. And first, I'm going to draw one blue circle right here. I'm going to draw another blue circle right here, but I'm going to do one little difference, and I'll show you what that is in a second. And then I'm going to draw one big circle right here that actually crisscrosses with another circle right here. And for those of you at home who might be watching, you might say, Mr. Henderson, those are not perfect circles. That's okay. So now let's look at how this fill tool or this paint bucket works. All right, when we click on it, and then we choose a color, like I'll choose this color, yellow right here, it's going to fill in whatever I click on in any amount of that color until it hits another color, and then it stops. So let's imagine for a second that I have this circle, and if we look at the difference, this circle, it's got a complete blue circle around it. There's no spots. If we imagine that this is like a fence, there's no spots where there's any gap, where there's any break, where there's any space that something could get out. So if I go to the middle of this circle and I give a click with that yellow, and it's a yellowy green, that yellowy green is going to stay right inside that circle. Now let's choose a different color. This time I'll use a purple. And let's look at the difference with this circle right here. What do we notice is different? Well, in this circle, there is a little gap at the top. And if we imagine again that this is a fence, that's where, like a dog or some sheep or something, they could get out of the fence because there's a hole in it. There's a gap in it. And the same thing happens with this fill tool. If you remember what I said, it will keep filling up an area until it hits another color. So if I click on the white right here, it'll stop over on this side, it'll stop around here, it'll stop around here. But once it gets here, it's going to not hit another color aside from that white, and it's going to go out and fill up everything else that's white until it hits another color. Let's watch and see it happen. Click, and that filled up almost my whole screen with purple. It stopped anywhere it got to another color's edge. Now, to completely understand, let's look at these circles that I have where they crisscross each other a little bit. And think at home what's going to happen when I click in these circles. First, I'll use a brown. Now, I have a circle right here, and I imagine I want it filled up with color. But if we remember the rule, it's going to stop when it hits an edge. So if I click in this white section right here, is it going to fill up the whole circle? No, it's going to stop right along this edge right here because it's hitting another color and there's no gaps for it to get through. So click and see it didn't fill up this section of that one circle. Now let's switch to another color and make it an orange. And then over on this side right here, if I click again in the white, you should know what's going to happen. Do we see any gaps? Anywhere that that color can get out? Anywhere where I click on white and that white continues through a gap? No, there aren't any, so it stayed there. And for my last one, let's switch my color to a red. And so now this one is just where these two circles crossed. But because it's sectioned off, right? Because it's sectioned off by the blue borders, if I click in the white in the middle there, it will fill in that area. And I'll also show you sometimes what some people do. I used a little undo, and what some people do sometimes is they go to click, but they are a little bit off. So they want to fill up this white right here, but they're a little off, and they go somewhere like this and click. And look at what that did. It actually clicked on the blue of the lines, and because of the rules of the way that fill tool or paint bucket works, it kept going anywhere that it met the same color and didn't stop until it met an edge of another color. So it actually filled up my lines instead of what I was thinking of as the center of the hole. All right, I could leave it that way. I could undo it and try it again, and now it's getting a little bit crazy, but that's the way the fill tool works. Now, when you're done with this, you could just be happy that you made something and had some fun. You could talk to somebody about at home about saving it as a file or possibly printing it out if you're allowed. Only print if a mom, dad, grandmom, grandpa, somebody in charge says it's okay. And for any parents or anybody at home, I will show one last optional step by clicking my new button right here and starting a new painting, where I started with a white canvas, blank, and that's usually the default, the way that it starts. But if I did have a picture file, an image file, I could actually load that in and I could paint from on top of that. And that's with this import background tool right here from the menu bar. Now I have a picture already pre-selected of the ocean. So I'm going to click on that file, open it, and now I could draw or paint all over this background instead of just a white background and try to draw in some fish and then maybe some seashells and anything else that I like. My fish and my seashells actually look pretty similar, but I'm not going to try to keep drawing others because I'm not the best at drawing ocean creatures. But boys and girls at home, I hope that you like this site. I hope that you find it fun to use, and you could make an awesome picture. It could be of a sport. It could be of a favorite cartoon character. It could be of something to do with the fall or Halloween. It could be of another favorite holiday. Anything that you can imagine that you want to paint, you can go and do for free right on this website. All right, kindergarten, I'll see you guys next week.